I understand that since some millennials are in the audience here, I must open this and all future videos by saying, hey guys, in the most casual way possible. So, hey guys, what's up? Anyway, so here's the deal. I finally figured out rap. Because we all know it's not music, right? And I'll tell you, it was Eminem, okay? White guy, right? I was listening to him today. And you know, this is how I came to this revelation, right? This is how I figured out rap. And again, I've been working all day, so I know my eyes are. I've been under the weather, but this time of day, my eyes normally get all kind of. Like I said, we ain't always pretty, but we get the job done. We are awakening millennials. We are continuing the fine tradition of. I just found out after dropping the video on the wonderful Rush Limbaugh, who has recently announced that he has advanced lung cancer. God bless you, by the way, Rush. We are praying for you as a nation as you receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, or the Presidential Award of Freedom. Sorry, I don't know specifically. I'm not. I should be more familiar with that than I am, but you know, I'm a millennial. Anyway, rap. Okay, here it is. Very simple, right? I was listening to Eminem today, not by choice, right? Because I don't, you know. Again, I happen to be exposed, just like I go to the gym, and I don't like being raped in the ear, but they keep on doing it anyway. And I literally tell the dude who manages the Blink gym, stop raping me in the ear. Okay, I didn't say that, but I said that's, you know, I told him, you know, one day, and I do, this is so, it just rolls off the tongue. I said, listen, if you were to put someone in the electric chair, this is a Blink gym, an Equinox gym, which is owned by a Trump donor, by the way, just in case you forgot that. And I love Donald Trump is the greatest thing since Rush Limbaugh, who is the greatest thing since Jesus Christ. Okay, well, Ronald Reagan was pretty. Anyway, I remember one, you know, I tell him as I'm trying to work out, and you know, and they got, you know, this. Can I say whore? Because that's what they are. Okay, it's not, that's the only way to describe it. Just panting into the microphone. You're making me pant. Oh, you gotta get the full effect. Ready? This is what it's like. I'm trying to lift weights, and it's like there's, it's like on my ear. It's like what it's like, pant for you. That's what it's like, right in your bloody ear. Right in your ear. Anyway. So that's Blink Gym, owned by Equinox, which I love that they support Trump. I don't mind giving them I don't mind giving them money, knowing that it's going to a good cause, making America great again. Here in the hub of the universe, it's very rare you find a company in the hub of the universe which supports such a great cause. So, anyway. But yeah, I tell him every day. I'll tell him from the bottom of my heart, like from the bottom of America's man's heart, that if I could hear, you know, if you recorded the audio of someone on death row being electrocuted, and then the governor's someone ran in with the pardon document from the governor, and they stopped the electrocution midway, and you know, and the guy stopped screaming. But then the governor sends another letter in saying, no, we actually, that was a mistake, or the first one was actually a forgery, go ahead and electrocute him. And the guy starts screaming again. That would be more pleasant to listen to than the noise that they pipe in through the audio system at Blink Fitness and Equinox Gym, which is owned by a Trump supporter, or at least in part by a Trump supporter. So yay, yay Trump. I love President Trump. I really love Trump. Anyway, all of this to say, but anyway, so here's what rap is. You ready? Okay, this is what rap is. Remember, so there was a movie called The Network, and a newscaster, like the only honest fake news person. Here's the thing, because you have to understand, the fake newsies, the anchors and anchorettes, people like that, you know, the guy who's always wearing the blazer at ABC, and he unbuttons a collar, he's like, you know, hey, I'm David Moore, I don't. Anyway, David Moore. I was in middle school. It's one thing that the government unionized communist public school teachers were good for. One of them did a really good impression of a cow. I can't do it justice, but I remember it to this day. It was something like, because we were always thought, you know, if you're imitating a cow, you say moo, but this guy did a really good, it was like, it was very convincing. It was so much better than I can't do it justice. Anyway, that's what communist government school teachers are good for. Anyway, where were we? Rap. So there's a movie called Network. Remember, the fake news people. I take this from my Christian heritage. I do, and I'm not sitting in judgment over them. Judge not, lest you be judged. And at the same time, of course, we, as Christian Americans, have to discern between good and evil, lest we become a part of the problem. And the fake news people, the anchors, and the fake news cows who are, you know, are typing up what's on the teleprompter for David Moore to read. David Moore. Anyway, the same company peddling homosexuality to your children on the Disney Channel through such esteemed programs as Dog with a Blog, who evidently supports moms with, lesbians donutting in place of a father figure, which totally contradicts, the whole wisdom of the Parent Trap, which John Eldredge so brilliantly pointed out in his book Wild at Heart. You know, what was her name? I can't remember the director of the new Parent Trap. They do take the Lord's name in vain. See, and that was the beginning of the end. That's why Lindsay Lohan became a crack whore who went to. She decided she was going to become a fake Indian, like Elizabeth Warren. Anyway, only Lindsay Lohan. I mean, she started talking in an Indian accent. I mean, why India? Really? I mean, you can't get much worse than Hollywood. But she went to that one place that's worse than Hollywood, the place that's trying to be Hollywood. I wonder if Lindsay, she could never sing though, so she couldn't really do Bollywood, unfortunately. Look at that annoying nasal. I can't. Anyway, so speaking of things which the category is things which aren't music. Let's shut this off so you can hear me a little bit better. Oh, I'm gonna see if we can point out the. Is that the Toxic Factory of? I might pass it, and I'll show it to you if we pass. I'll tell you that Gillette factory is actually very. I watch the smoke billowing out into the atmosphere every day. This is the company that made that toxic masculinity commercial. They're billowing out You know, I think that's very toxic that they're doing. You can see it. It's just all day long. It doesn't stop. Must be a factory, and it says Gillette, big letters in front of the thing, and you can see it at night. You can see it at night. It glows. It's neon. Anyway, so what is rap music? What is rap if it's not music? As you know, because there's no inventiveness to it. I was listening to Eminem today. Okay, and basically, like Eminem, every single shtick that Eminem has ever done, because you know, I mean, I've seen the Music Man. I don't like the Music Man because I think it paints America's what do you call it? quintessential profession, that of sales. We are a nation of salesmen and saleswomen. It's what we do. You know, of course, the Hollywood and Broadway unionized communist propagandists, all those misanthropes, those people who are jealous of people who have contented family lives. They all go to Hollywood and Broadway, and they dump their misery on the rest of us. And thus the Music Man was born, and painting the so we have the image in our mind of this salesman who is nothing but a big con, and he cons his way into a prostitute's heart, and it's very touching because it's set to a joyous score, which makes the good people of the heartland look like total idiots, total schmucks, because that's how Hollywood and Broadway see all of you good Christian people, you good country people. Yes, I said good country people because that's what they are. They make this country happen. And, you know, here in the hub of the universe, they think you're naive, they think you're dumb, but darn it, you're the best people in the world. That's what I think anyway. I really believe that, and I always have, which is why I've sought to, you know, I've lived in all those wonderful places like Ohio and the South, Texas, Houston, Atlanta. I've been everywhere, and it's been a breath of fresh air growing up in the once blessed hub of the universe, which Satan has derailed for his own purposes and has almost gotten a hold of the whole nation. But of course, America's man's man, perhaps the last Christian left here in the hub, isn't going to let that happen. I met some people today. They were from, I don't know where they were. They were from New York. You know, New Yorkers are friendlier than people from Boston, and that's not you know, these days you know, you might say, well, that's not a high standard. It's still, I mean, New York, really? New York? But yeah, the New Yorkers are friendly. People visiting from New York are friendlier than Boston people. There's something wicked in the hub. That's an episode, by the way, Something Wicked in the Hub. Check it out on americasmansman.com. If you're getting americasmansman.com videos and episodes anywhere else, binge them all today. Oh my gosh, I like binge the whole America's Man's Man episode. Binge episodes. I binge it today. Oh my gosh. It's so awful. People who call themselves conservatives here in the hub of the universe aren't conservatives. Except, of course, the most conservative man in America, the most, well, I can't call myself the most Christian man in America because that's not very humble, but pretty darn close. Come on. I'm in the hub of the universe. You got to give me some credit here. Anyway, it's really bad here, folks. It's bad. It's bad. Anyway, rap. What is rap? If rap is not music, if there's no lyric, if there's no poetic value to it, if it's just a bunch of obscenities, if there's no musical value, no musical inventiveness, I mean, pop is just a bunch of jingles, right? At least there's a melody to it, but rap, but pop just regurgitates the same old chord progressions, even the same old musical ideas, which are like micro melodies that are strung together to make a melody, right? So there's nothing original about pop, but at least pop has a melody that manages to get stuck in your head. Rap. So anyway, Marshall Mathers, right? I think that's his right. That's his it's his Christian name, Marshall. Marshall James Mathers. You stop hanging out of those subways. Anyway, looking for that toxic Gillette factory. Anyway, Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble's bad for a number of reasons. I still can't shake the image of them. They're big. They were big sellouts early on to the communist homosexual movement. I remember I was at Franciscan University, and it's difficult to, even though the Catholics, of course, Catholics who have any semblance of Christianity, which most of the people at Franciscan University have a very Christ word. They're in touch with nature. They're in touch with God, because most of them. Most of them are homeschooled, so there's a big homeschooled contingent, so they're not polluted by the unionized government teachers, which is why Franciscan University is one of the best colleges in the world, despite the pollution and the cult of Catholicism miring its dogma. So I'm trying to think, is that it? I think that's it. I'm trying to see if I can get a glimpse of it. Hold on a sec. It might be too dark. It may be too dark to be able to see the toxic fog. The toxic Gillette is spewing into the sky. I think that's it. No, it's right. Usually there's like a big. I usually see it when I pass this way. Maybe I just haven't gotten to it yet. Anyway, well, I'll let you know if I see it. Anyway, so what's rap, right? There's this movie called Network. Came out in the 70s. And remember, so as a fake news insider, having been on the inside of the fake news, I don't know, was Rush a news reporter? I don't know if Rush was a news reporter, if Rush Limbaugh was my kind of predecessor, if you will. But whom I love dearly. I love you because he. I know he's going to take me to task on this. I'd rather say it while he's alive, so that way he can respond to it, rather than what he's rightfully criticized the fake news for doing, which is, they're always spewing hatred while, say, John McCain or George W. Bush I'm sorry, not George W. Ronald Reagan is alive. They're always hating on them, and then when they die, and they can't respond anymore, the fake news media is like, oh, we hardly knew you're such a great person. Meanwhile, they were like hating his guts while he's alive and never would say anything good about him. Never mind that in the case of Ronald Reagan, he really opened up the can of worms of unregulated fake news media in a lot of ways. But that's another can of worms altogether to develop. Happy to do it at some point, so remind me. But with one thing about Rush is that his show airs on many stations where they do news breaks during his show, which are they're fake news breaks. So he'll go on and talk about how awful this person's lying at ABC News and whatever, and then there's like an ABC News break, or there's something, you have, actually it's happening right now on one of the Clear Channel stations in the Boston area. They have the communist WBZ news segment where they'll actually take a news segment directly from they'll air a WBZ, the communist WBZ news anchor segment, which comes right off the communist AP wire, and that'll air during Rush Limbaugh's show. So there's, I don't know, there's kind of a bait and switch there I've never liked about what he does. But that said, Rush Limbaugh, I mean, the fact that he's been able to accomplish all that he's accomplished, it's a small price to pay, and his listeners generally, I think, are generally smart enough to kind of figure that out. But it is a little bit it's a little bit odd that he he kind of, I guess it's because he's been a radio guy from the very beginning, and so he's loyal to his very loyal to his broadcasting partners who have been with him from the beginning on that. So anyway, but these fake news people, right? They're dependent. Okay, so I want to make a case for them for a moment before slamming them. I don't want to judge. I'm trying, because you have to. If a good detective, and that's what I really am. That's what Rush Limbaugh really is. You're sifting through all this fake news gobbledygook, which honestly lesser minds shouldn't attempt. If it's not your job, you're better off seriously not just tuning out ABC, CBS, NBC, because at the end of the day, even by omission, anything that's on there, it's if your job isn't to find the lies, you won't figure out how they're lying to you, and they're lying to you hand over fist. They're stuffing. Oh, there it is. There's the. I don't know if you can see it. This Gillette factory spewing toxic awfulness into the air. It is disgusting. It is absolutely. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's too much for. Maybe the camera won't. Anyway, so hopefully you saw that, but it's really awful. The toxic Gillette there. I did a whole thing on that too. Just search americasmansman.com for toxic masculinity, and you'll see how my contention. Anyway, it's a great episode, and you don't want to miss it. The irony of Gillette making basically, my contention is that the feminazi director, by making that commercial hating on men, was really her subconscious kind of Freudian disguised, her ulterior motive that maybe she wasn't even aware of was to stop men from shaving so that men would be men again. And anyway, so I actually, it's probably one of the reasons I grew a beard again, because I think that's what it was. It was a cry for help. It's like, men aren't acting like men anymore, and especially in the hub of the universe where Satan has such a stronghold. Anyway, so network TV people, these crazy fake news anchors at WBZ, where I used to be, and WNTK up in New Hampshire, the live free or die state, the granite state. By the way, granite is not good for you, so stay away from basements with granite in them, because anyway, it's a cancer risk because of the radiation. But I don't know, I will never get a granite countertop. So finishing a shift, so I know I'm more all over the place than ever, and frankly, I really, I mean, where's Fox News going to get their show prep from without Rush? Like Rush Limbaugh is Fox News, is Fox and Friends' whole show in the morning. There was a long time ago, I used to watch Fox and Friends until they really screwed me over. But I got them very good, because they were. I called them out because they were saying they're fair and balanced, and they're not. And I called Peter, whatever his name is, the temporary guy, the fill-in guy for Fox and Friends. Not Peter Deuce. It's Peter. I can't remember his name, but whatever that clown is. told him, I said, look, Fox, I thought, now this is Fox, so you guys are supposed to be fair and balanced. What's going on here? I was right out of college, so I was absolutely, I was totally blindsided. And anyway, I'm like, because I thought I took their marketing slogan seriously at the time, because, you know, why not give them a shot? But they've proven that they're just another lowest common denominator appealing. Did you see now they're saying they're calling their presidential coverage not election 2020, but they're calling it democracy 2020. Come on, Fox News, are we a democracy or are we a republic? Next they'll be saying, you know, Gulag 2020 for all we know. Because you venture outside of Fox and Friends, and they're a total S show. They're a total S show. So, anyway. So then the people who work for the TV networks don't even know that they're doing this. And then they have the breakdowns. Like there was that one movie, I can't remember the name of it, but it was about the reporter who offed herself, who committed suicide on the air in Florida during the 70s, because they know what they're doing. They know, and a part of their conscience can't reconcile it. So what do? Well, they do the same thing that all of the other people, when Obama was the provisional martial law dictator of the United States of America, out of fear and without anything else to do, you know, like during the run on the banks, when the banks ran out of cash, Americans, they feverishly keep on doing their jobs without really thinking, because we don't have to, because we're trying to, I just got done with an 8-hour shift. We're working for the boss man because we don't have the luxury of doing what Rush Limbaugh does all day, which is really trying to understand all of the manipulative twists and turns that these Machiavellian fake news anchors and their AP, who's writing this communist script for all of them to read. As anyone who watches Conan O'Brien knows, watch that segment where you can see all the local news anchors repeating the same lines as their eyes, across the ape. You watch their eyes closely and you see them scrolling because they're watching. They're just like I'm scanning lanes of traffic here, as every careful driver does. The eyeballs are always darting back and forth. But no, you watch them, and you watch. Watch closely the next time you're watching your favorite fake news anchor, if you still watch the fake news, like I don't, but you see even on on phone news there, you'll see if you look closely, and that's why they don't, you don't see close-ups very often, because that's what their eyeballs are tracking the teleprompter for back and forth. Is that weird or what? Like what if people did that in real life, Anyway. But these people, you have to understand, from the fake news, this is their world. This is all they know how to do. If they didn't have this, then what would they do with it? They would have to stop screwing people over, and they'd have to get a real job like the coal miners or America's Man's Man, right? So the point is, in the 70s you had this true story about a reporter who blew her brains out, and she was a virtuous kind of gal, just like America's Man's Man, and she couldn't reconcile the fact that her job, the pressure to really shock and awe and instill fear in her audience was her life, and that bothered her, and so she couldn't figure out any other way other than to shoot herself on the air, because that was the only way she could make a statement, because she knew her career would be over if she said anything. And that's why a lot of fake news anchors just keep on doing what they're doing. They just keep on taking in, and just keep on reading off the teleprompter, keep on regurgitating the AP. which is why there's an expression in the industry. It's called rip and read. You saw the 70s movie or the 80s movie, Network News. Very very similar in tone, a little more comedic. Nobody blowing their brains out or threatening to on the air, but that's what happened in Network as well. Beale, Beale is the guy, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But you see the girl, the producer, before his shift, and she's outside at the new, because you didn't have computers back then, so she's outside putting a quarter in each of the newsstands, taking one newspaper, taking the next newspaper, and this is where they get their news from. Their news, and it's all written by the AP anyway, so it doesn't really matter where they get it from. But but this is so. And this is again why I say that the media is not the free press, because it's not the press at all. It's something different altogether. It's electronic appropriation of a real social life, and people. That's how people used it even before so-called social media, and social media is just the next advancement in this mass American psychosis of the cult of television. Anyway, so what's rap? How do we explain the rap phenomenon? Is it a tapestry of ingenious and culturally rich artistic abundance, as Hollywood hack Will Ferrell says in the high art, the high concept movie called Get Hard? I mean, this is high concept art here, a movie called Get Hard. They were talking about it on Faux News the other day, when that Hollywood hack who scammed the College Board, which, College Board is not exactly an ethical organization in and of itself. They teach you when you go to prep for the SATs. They teach you this. They teach you in all seriousness. They say if you're in doubt about what the right answer is, just pick the most politically correct, basically pick the most leftist answer, the most communist answer. And specifically, like if you want to know the direct word for word quote, when I took the course, this was a course at MIT when I was studying for the I was either my business exam or the I think it was the SAT. And they tell you pick the most politically correct answer, because the SAT people, they don't want to offend anybody, except of course real American Christians, who carry on the noble traditions of our founding fathers, the real ones who haven't been brainwashed by the communists at the freaking College Board. I mean, it's bad when communism is integrated into the tests you need to get into any of these leftist institutions of useless, trivial learning. Anyway, enter William. I think it was called William Beale. Forgive me if I'm getting the name wrong, but he's the main character in this movie called Network. Truest to life of any of these movies. You had a rash of these movies between the 70s and the 80s, and it was really a great awakening. Now, because the same 5 media companies, or 6, or whatever it is now, own all of the television studios, all the fake news, like Disney, ABC, it's all one thing. The same organizations poisoning your children with homosexuality and Mickey cartoons. Did you see that grotesque product placement that Disney owns Family Guy now? So that, some joke in this cartoon targeted at children, because it's a cartoon, as 1 million moms loves to point out, correctly so. Something about Santa made Meg's Little Mermaid Moana. Seriously, this is Disney's famous synergistic marketing product placement. Anyway, but what is rap? If it's not music, then why is this guy selling all these records? And okay, so we've established, first of all, we're again, because it's such a steep slope down that culture has been on for the last, 4 generations since the Greatest Generation. It's really accelerated again with the advent of broadcast media and now so-called social media, which has really just shown itself to be the next generation of broadcast media on steroids. I mean, this is coming to you via radio wave, so this is a broadcast of sorts. Not completely. Anyway, I'm gonna get too technical. It's the next step of electronic miscommunication, electronic noise appropriating authentic. But this guy named William Beale, he's a network anchor in this story, and he does basically what every fake news anchor in their wildest dreams wants to do, which is to, because none of them are serious. They can't be. They can't be. But they have to be. It's like they have to convince themselves of the lie if they're to effectively perform every night. But there's this one man who goes against the grain, threatens to kill himself, but what he actually does is he goes on the air after getting fired because his manager sees something's up with him. Knows this guy's losing it. He can't do it anymore. Like a whore. A whore knows what she's doing is wrong, but how else she's gonna make a living, right? So the fake news whores. This one of them, this character William Beale, he goes on the air. And then he's delivering the newscast, and he says, "I want all of you, the viewers, after he's reading the newscast or whatever, he's on the air, and then people are expecting him to give this emotionless, serious newscast. He says, "I want all of you to get up out of your chairs across America." Producer's like, "How many stations is this going out over?" He's like, 63. All the major cities. "I want you to get up out of your chairs, and I want you to open your windows, and I want you to say, I want you to scream, I want you to get angry, I want you to get so angry you can't contain yourself, that your buttons are busting," or whatever. And he says, "And I want you to scream out your windows, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. I'm mad as hell." And he goes on like this, and people start doing it in the movie. It's funny to watch. It's kind of like a lawyer, one of those hawkish tap dancing lawyers did a commercial where they did the same thing where they ripped it off. They said, "It's my money and I want it now." People started screaming out their windows. It was like the same thing, except they were, it's whatever the lawyer wanted them to say instead. But so that's what rap is. It's just it's kind of a minority of people, particularly that in that minority. When I say minority, I don't mean a racial minority. Because I was listening to Marshall Mathers, and basically everything he does is the same. He starts talking like this, and he starts talking about it, tells a story about how this happened, and then he gets a little more heated up until he's screaming, and it's and then there's like a scream whine thing that Marshall Mathers, Eminem does, and I can't. I don't listen to him. I don't want to nail it. I don't want to nail his impression because it freaks me out just thinking about him, and and he's kind of a hack, and he doesn't. I mean, when you think about what he's saying logically, it doesn't make any sense. But what he provides, and what all of these hack people who call themselves musicians, who often have the gyrating girls next to them, who usually aren't that attractive, although I guess I don't know, whatever. Who am I to judge? They sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just rage, but that's what they are. He's channeling anger, is what they're doing. It's not music. They're venting, and they're providing a form of catharsis of sorts for millennials who, by all accounts, so many of them are so lost, and that's why you know, they fall for these Pied Pipers like atheistic communist Bernie Sanders, you know, as these people on his campaign saying, "Oh, we're going to burn down cities and all this." And maybe I don't know. Maybe I took it too seriously when I heard that. I saw the video from Project Veritas, and maybe, you know, I don't want to do the same thing that I was accusing you know, all the networks of doing, which is, but I really wasn't, though, because the thing is, see, CNN, what they'll do is when these mama's boys, whether they Antifa or whatever, when they freak out, these homosexual or effeminate Nazi mama boy fascist homo-fascist people who were, you know, indoctrinated, brainwashed by their government school teachers about to believe that communism is what America's all about, basically. Here's the difference between what I'm doing and what the networks are doing. When CNN, the Communist News Network, and the rest of, like, even Fox News with the BLM stuff, what they do is they hit you with it. They hit you in the face when it happens. Okay, what I was doing was I'm doing what Project Veritas is doing, which is, again, getting the word out there that there are people who are threatening to do this, and that the FBI needs to get on these idiots before they actually do anything, before they make good on their threats, which, you know, they may very well do, because it doesn't take a lot of bravery. I mean, these are not brave people. They are pretty sick in the head, but arson is a coward's sport in a lot of ways, because it's not, you don't have to face anybody. You just have to kind of, well, you've all seen the movies. I mean, you know how it works. You don't have to, you know, by the time you face people, you've already done the cowardly deed, and that's what it is. There's no courage involved in it. So these people are fully capable of it, because they don't have any courage, you know, and they, you know, they're effeminate Nazis, homo-fascist Nazis, the Antifa people, the lost boys of Antifa, as I call them. Oh, that's another episode, by the way, on americasmansman.com. So anyway, so you have a lot of really stupid, confused people who have been brainwashed by media, which is what America was by the 70s already, because of the fake news deluging their subconscious psyches, and they didn't have the wherewithal, they didn't have the internet to be able to check this in any way whatsoever. So the stations would get these, and still do, of course, they do, people who you know, perhaps don't have America's Mansman and the light of Christ guiding them, you know, would send threat. And I learned this being in the industry. I would get threats. My news directors would get threats, threatening letters, and if you watch an episode of, it wasn't the pilot of Columbo, but it was a great episode about, I think her name was Kay Freestone was the character. It was a wonderful, wonderful episode. It was so, they were so great with character, and it's one of the manliest shows that's ever been on television. It was like the Fox News of television dramas. It really was. It broke all the rules and did it for all the right reasons. Steven Spielberg directed a couple of them. Columbo is a great show, and you can watch everything pretty much online for free, all the episodes. But there was an episode where the network news director was getting these death threats, because that's, you know, because people don't have the wherewithal. Again, we're natural creatures, and when you manipulate natural creatures with the artificial electron wizardry of of television, of computers. It puts the republic at a disadvantage, because you have a very small group of people who use this electronic these electronic tools to really to shortcut the conscious mind of the larger voting American populace, and you short circuit, you bypass the conscious brain, with the info babes. It's news porn is what broadcast news really is. It's true. I mean, just go on Gab if you can get to it, if you have any doubts about that. I think Rush Limbaugh says info babes too, so it's anyway, so the rest of us can use that too. And I know he's flattered that we'd mentioned him. Bless his heart. Anyway, so that's, long story short, that's what rap is it's venting. It's not actual, like the fake news, like broadcast is not actual news, as all of the leftist elites, so-called elites, well know, by the way. It's the appropriation of public discourse. It's venting is what rap is. It's the appeal. The reason that people buy so many records and that there are charts is because it reflects the psychotic, neurotic, illogical, unpoetic, frazzled, and desperate state of a generation who has very little hope, largely because of what media influence has done to this wonderful republic. However, thanks to good forces like America's Man's Men and Rush Limbaugh and President Donald Trump, we are recovering our former greatness, and it's always just a stone's throw away here in the land of the free, the home of the brave, God's exceptional nation. And America's Man's Man personally loves to have all of you with us. Anyway, so rap is just glorified venting, like William Beale, or whatever that main character's name was in the movie Network. I want all of you to get up out of your seats. Oh, just like those evil Jesuits at Boston College had the fine artistic taste to invite a rapper there. And what did he say? He had the same call to action that this Network person did, just a little bit different. Instead of saying, I want you to get up, all of you to get up out of your seats, this rapper that the evil Jesuits, the same Jesuits, yeah, the Jesuits who wrote in the name of Christ here in America that perhaps communism, atheistic communism, has its virtues once upon a time. The Jesuits who attempted to legitimize, and largely successfully so with all these Hollywood hacks, to legitimize communism here stateside. Because, who they really want to win is the Vatican. It's... Come on. The state of natural marriage, of healthy marriage, has not changed since Adam and Eve. It's only because of fake news insanity, the psychosis of the infotainment complex that we've been duped into thinking otherwise, And neither has the Vatican. The Vatican has always tried to coerce people into allowing it to make people bend over and grab their ankles. Why would the Vatican change now either, for that matter? So anyway, Boston College, they invited this rapper over, and he told all the students, this is the wonderful influence that the evil Jesuits trying to be Harvard are Harvard, which also lost its way. So you have the blind leading the blind. And why? So that the so-called elites can further manipulate them in their enhanced state of frenzy and stupidity from all this idiocy that they're propagating amongst their masses. Add to that the rape and murder of the illegals that the left is inviting into the country. Yes, we want more people crapping in the streets, just like Los Angeles. Anyway, so Boston College invites this rapper there. I remember it so vividly. I went to the concert. I wanted to see what this was all about, right? And you remember, in Network, the main character of the anchorman says, I want you to get up out of your seats, all of you, and I want you to go, I want you to get up, I want you to go to your window, I want you to open your window, I want you to yell out the window, I'm mad as hell, and I can't take it anymore. And okay, so the rapper at Boston College says, I want you to lift up your middle finger. Go on, lift it up. He checks to make sure everyone's lifting it up. And I want you to look at the police. They got security guards here at this thing. Actually, the Boston College have their own police department. I want you to lift up your hands. I want you to lift up your middle finger, and I want you to raise your hands high in the air, everybody. I want you to get your hands up, and I want you to say, fuck the police. This is at Boston College. Got the evil, atheistic, communist Jesuits. Jesuits who tried to legitimize communism in the United States. I'm a former Catholic, and this is why. It's a kingdom divided against itself. I can't. You can only. I wanted to stand. I wanted to share Jesus Christ with the foundation of America with everybody I knew. And they said, "Well, but you're a Catholic," and I had to think about it. I did. I had to. I used to break up with people over. I broke up with some attractive girls over Catholicism. And at the end of the day, I said, "Yeah, what the hell am I doing? Jeez." What for the church? It's trying to promote atheistic. It really, at the end of the day, though, it came down to that, though, is that it really is a kingdom divided against itself, because I would go to masses and you'd have on Mother's Day that there'd be a priest giving a sermon about the virtues of Anne Lamott, the pro-abort Anne Lamott. Well, the Franciscan University, God bless them, are sending students out to the abortion clinic to pray for the women, the victims of the abortion clinics who are about to ruin their lives, and they get turnarounds and counsel them. Think of how much love that takes to counsel those, to learn how to counsel them, and to deal with all the anger of a girl who's about to have an abortion, and to pray for them, and to hold their hand, and to turn them around, emotionally, prayerfully, psychologically, all that. And there are good people in the Catholic Church, like 99% of them are in Franciscan, and they're doing this. And gosh, what a lovely place! It really is. If you got to go Catholic, go Franciscan. That's why I went there anyway. I kind of wanted to go to Liberty, but anyways, it's complicated. So anyway, so that's what rap is. It's just venting. It's an outlet. But it's not art. So don't call it art, and don't call it music. This is America's Man's Man, America'sMansMan.com.